I love the podcast because you're such a great conversationalist. I really just love the conversations that you have with people. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I cover nostalgic, obscure, otherwise strange content. Today, it's a very special day. I'm so excited. We have Daniel from the Box Cutter podcast. My stuff is falling over. Sorry about that. You want to tell them about your awesome podcast?
Sure. My name is Daniel, and I'm the host, producer, basically a passion project producer of the Box Cutter podcast, where I talk about one of my favorite childhood shows that's very much influenced me called Out of the Box. It was a Playhouse Disney show. And each episode, I invite a guest on to watch an episode, and then we break down the educational content to see if it still holds up. And every now and again, we diverge from the conversation to talk about what the theme of the day was. But overall, I just started the podcast because nobody was ever talking about the show, and it's been lost media. The only things that were ever out for Out of the Box were the Halloween and the Christmas VHS for it, which actually are like around maybe like $100.
Wow, seriously?
I was just checking the other day on Google, like the Halloween one was $100.
That's insane.
Like $99.
Yeah, Disney Plus, I don't think I realize sometimes how much Disney Plus has done for just those more obscure things from like our childhoods, because it's like, now it's just this place for Disney to be like, put it all on the platform, and then like everybody's like, oh my god, I haven't seen this in forever, and it's just like a great way to make it more accessible to people, because I would like to think that like if I had kids one day, they would also watch Out of the Box. Like it's just such an adorable, like, we had great TV in our time.
To tell you, I cried when I was like watching it on my TV again.
Yo.
Jesus, take the wheel, take me back to my childhood. Which actually, believe it or not, actually made this whole sweatshirt that I'm wearing from fabric half my house.
That's amazing. I was about to ask. I saw your sewing machine. I was like, sewing. I love to sew.
So, but besides Out of the Box, I also talk about just other TV shows and movies that normally aren't talked about these days, but were a big staple in our childhood of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, the movie The Color of Friendship, starring Chuck. I had the real life inspiration Piper Dillon on my podcast.
That's so amazing.
I think the reason why it's so positive with the reception, even though it's a small audience, is because I'm just very candid with it. I don't try and like, so, blah, 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 blah.
You don't put on like a Barbara Walters voice.
Blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm just more of a off-the-cuff person, because for me, I just prefer the raw and the vulnerable. And that's just my different strokes for different folks.
The reason why I love listening to the podcast is because you're such a conversationalist, and you have this way of talking to every guest like you guys are like besties, and it's just like really like comforting to listen to.
I've worked with children for 5 years as an after-school educator. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. An after-school educator. I actually just resigned from that job back in July. It was bittersweet, but I wanted to explore the rest of my dreams. Right now, I'm in the process of getting my EP license for applying. One day I can have my own. Yeah, I'm just going to school for that. And, I love the kids, and I can still look back within the 5 years that I've worked with kids and just, say that I'm influenced and I've done my part.
That's amazing.
So I did my part, and anyone who has their heart helping with education and children and the betterment of underprivileged, they have my respect.
Can I ask, do you look back on things from like our childhood or just any children's media like with a different lens as an educator now? Like, are you more critical of like the curriculum, or like the, like what is being taught, or, what from a teacher's standpoint do you look for in those kind of things, I guess?
Well, from my standpoint, I see that media for kids is a lot more fast-paced. Whereas from my childhood, there were times for like quietness, like for just everything was quiet and you're just looking at people doing things, or just having the time to just let the moment marinate.
Yeah.
Whereas now everything's jumping and going to the next thing. And it's just, I feel that, and it's not a bad thing, but I feel that there isn't time for a child to have inner exploration of who they are.
Yeah.
There is this stigma of your child needs to know how to use the restroom by the time they're in preschool, and they need to know how to write their name, and they need to know colors, and it's and that's fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it kind of pushes aside the individuality in a sense of first learning and growing rates. Like some people get it faster and some people don't, and people shouldn't be chastised for being a little bit slower on the pickup. And that's just honestly how I feel. And from our childhood, I feel that some aspects we were allowed to just take our time a little bit more, but because of standardized testing and just the money that schools get, teachers don't have the room sometimes to just teach a little more of a certain subject that they're more specialized in. It's like, okay, you need to be at this reading level, you need to get this math comprehension level. And I get it, but at the same time, these types of programs make it hard for students to be able to actually retain the information that they're learning because they're being pushed to the next grade and the next.
Yeah, I think back to like standardized testing when I was in grade school, and it's just like I probably didn't retain most of that stuff. It was just like, let's cram so that I can pass. So that I can go on summer vacation and forget most things. It's just like, oh, that probably wasn't a great system, but...
I mean, I think the proof of the product of that, and I'm probably being really mean when I say this, but a lot of people that I went to business school with were just doing what was on the rubric, and then when the professor would ask, well, what does this word mean? Use it as a buzzword, but what does it exactly mean? And then there'd just be like 2 minutes of silence.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough, my mom homeschooled us, so she was big on not just teaching us like the curriculum, but she liked to teach us how to find answers for things ourselves, and that's something that I'm like grateful for, because, you know, it's something that...
I mean, Googling it?
Yeah, Googling is a thing. I always think back to, like, when, you know, we were in school, and it was like, well, you're never gonna have a calculator with you all the time, and it's just like, oh, if only they knew.
Real irony. But I think just, like, being able to Google something well is a skill. And I feel that just when tutors are like, oh, you can't just Google things, like, I beg to differ. I feel like if you do it well, it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Potent skill.
Yeah, my brother always says, like, because my brother's really good at tech, and he's like, I got good at tech just by Googling things and figuring them out, and just, like, he's the type of person who's really great at just, like, figuring it out, being like, I don't know this, so now I'm gonna figure out how to know it, and it's just, like, we underestimate that as a skill set. I think you're totally right.
Yeah, but like I said, I think people, we just need to slow down a bit in terms of just like learning. People just learn differently. Some people learn by watching, some people learn by listening, some people learn by doing, and some people learn by failing.
I relate to that.
I've learned how to fix appliances like dryers, but I've only learned that because I had to like fail a lot of times my first like 2 or 3 years that I was starting to do that. And now it's like I start to do things when I'm in my appliance class, and it's like I never thought about doing that. Or like oh my gosh, Daniel, you're so smart. It's like just so weird to hear people say that about me, instead of being like, oh Daniel, you're so bossy. Oh Daniel, you're so like.
Oh.
So to hear it, it's like I'm not trying to brag. I'm genuinely excited and giddy when people are like, oh my gosh, Daniel, I didn't know you could I didn't know that. Like, that's smart, Daniel.
No, I'm excited for you. I think I'm glad that we need to encourage, like, you know, appreciating the things that we're good at, that, like, because we all have things that we're, like, good at that some people aren't. And I just, like, I know that me as a person, I'm somebody who is always, like, downplaying, like, I don't want to talk about, like, the stuff that I did because that feels, like, braggy or whatever, but it's, like, everybody should talk about, like, the things that they're good at, because that's cool. And, like, seeing you talk about, like, a victory or an accomplishment, even though we just met, I feel very, like, happy for you.
Oh, thank you. But, just to digress a bit, I saw your reaction on the Saban Mail by Raymona, which is very much trending right now. And it reminded me, because she said people were saying, oh, use the Library of Congress. And that reminded me, maybe I should use the Library of Congress to find those 3 lost episodes of Advance Clock. There are 3 lost episodes.
Really?
Of the first season. They're not on TV, like, none of it, but they have, like, those, you know those, like, recording codes or whatever, the production codes?
Yeah.
There's 3 that are not on Disney Plus, but they're, like, on some list. I forget where.
Interesting.
But, so I might decide to look it up. I actually have a recording lined up with the creator of Out of the Box.
That's absolutely
so
amazing.
I might. It's only gonna be 20 minutes. So I will do my best to utilize those 20 minutes to see if there's anything about those last episodes that I can round.
I'm excited to hear that. And yeah, I was super interested when she was like Library of Congress. I was like, oh my god. Like, I was like, it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't think, like, most of us think about it. But yeah, like, she's just really gifted at, like, knowing, like, where to look and, like, research. And we got Saban Moon out of it, so that was amazing.
It's definitely a lot of dedication and time, but also somewhat a little bit of luck, just a little bit. Because I never thought from when I started that I'd ever get a shot of interviewing the creator of the show, but I just stuck with it, and just focusing on what I do, and like one day. Just the optimism of it. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be the co-host or the revamp of that.
Hell yeah.
that'd be one spectacular thing to have.
Well, it's an honor to have. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just like, I love what you do with the podcast. I love when I realized that somebody was doing an Out of the Box podcast, I was like, yes. Somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to talk about this. I don't think I've mentioned what episode we're talking about today.
No, we have not.
We're talking about Trick or Treat, season 2, episode 20. Checking my notes to make sure that's correct.
Perfect. So, interesting fun fact is that Trick or Treat was one of the 2 episodes that we're talking about that came out on VHS video for the people that aren't aware of the acronym. And again, around like $100, $199, around that price.
That's so insane.
The only lost media, or the only found media of Lost Media Out of the Box for a long while.
That's crazy to think about. And the other thing about things like Out of the Box is it was literally on every day. So I think as kids, like, we completely took it for granted, you know?
Yeah, like Zoom. Like, Zoom was on, like, every day after school, except for weekends. And now it's like, well, there isn't really a place to find the episodes.
Well, because we were a family that didn't have cable until I was, past, like, I think I was, like, 8 when we finally got cable. But, like, and I remember, like, everybody being like, oh, we're stuck with, like, PBS, and one day we'll have the cable channels. But it's funny, because even, like, thinking back, like, I'm like, there were so many PBS kids shows that I loved and still love to this day.
Oh, I know. Amber Chase, Arthur, Zoom.
Oh, my God.
Personal favorite bed was Rough Ruffman. That's how I fell in love with reality shows.
Yes, that was a great one. My brother keeps asking me to cover that one, and I keep forgetting, and I need to just do it, because it's such a great... We have a little cookbook. I don't know where this cookbook came from, but it's a little Fetch with Rough Ruffman cookbook, and I'm just like, this is adorable. I have to do something with this, because that's another one that I don't think gets enough love.
Maybe I might cover it for my podcast one of these days, because it's like, it's such an obscure title for a show. Fetch with Rough Ruffman.
It's very catchy. It rolls off the tongue.
That it's like, it doesn't roll off the tongue, and you're like, oh, have you ever seen Fetch with Rough Ruffman?
It's one of those things where either somebody's like, oh my god, yes, or they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Talking about the episode, the Halloween episode, from season 2, which is interesting because I would think like maybe the first season would have a Halloween episode and a Christmas, but they didn't.
Do you remember there was like Halloween was a huge deal on Playhouse Disney? They would do like whole like blocks of like Stanley and probably this episode was part of the block, and then like Bear in the Big Blue Hat. Like I just remember it being like an event.
Yeah, PB&J Otter, Stanley, Out of the Box, Rolie Polie Olie. Like, I've got a memory, like, I look at something, and if I like it enough, I'll remember it.
My mom would just want to sit and talk to you all, like, she still, like, as an adult, will just, like, sit down, because, like, we were kids, we grew up with this, like, she's always, that was her favorite era of TV. She's like, you guys had the best TV? Kids today do not have the TV that you guys had, and I'm like, I think you're right. I think we just had great TV.
Wait, no, it's not about the quality, it's about the quantity. How many episodes can we put out in, like, less than $15,000?
Yeah. Did Out of the Box ever make you want to build like a giant box fort? Because I genuinely was like the kid that was like, I can construct the box fort, I can do it.
Yes and no, because well, I grew up poor, so we rented an extension of a house, and so our yard was not big enough to accommodate a big box fort. But I mean, I did plenty of other things. Like I made my own cardboard piñata. It was like made out of a 24-pack of Budweiser.
I love that.
And then like I just covered it with yellow butcher paper, and then I'm like, oh, it's a dice.
I remember we used to. This is so weird. We used to, when we would like have a big box, we would like cut the sides off, and we would do something that we like to call cardboarding, which was basically like sledding, but in Georgia there's no snow, so you just find like a grassy hill and you just slide down on the cardboard. That was our idea of like a great weekend. We were very strange.
Pretty great weekend.
It was so fun. I still have pictures of us like careening down a hill on just like a cardboard flat. It was just great.
Yeah, I would probably be too scared. I was a big scaredy cat as a little kid. I would like never want to go hiking because I'd be afraid that I'd fall. Like literally, this is my brain, and then it's like walking up and then falling down the side.
Heights terrify me. Just thinking about like hiking up and like seeing to like the top of a mountain. Even like right now, I'm just whew.
But I mean, like now it's like I guess I'm just like a lot more adventurous. But I'm still a homebody. I'm still a recluse, but I don't mind being.
Oh yeah, I'm very much. I say I'm already an old cat lady. At 25, I'm just like already just like I want to be home with my cats and watching TV. That's where I'm happy.
There's a lot of things in our day and age that maybe like 20, 30 years ago, people would be like, you're crazy. Like making friends on the internet. No one ever, like maybe 30 years ago would ever think, oh, you can't make friends off the internet. oh, you can't work at home. You can't have a job working at home. Internet was the biggest game changer. But with regard to the internet, I feel
Oh
that
yeah.
the culture that we had as a society is slowly starting to be pushed away and being replaced by another culture, which is the internet.
Yeah, it's true. Internet is its own culture in and of itself. Like, it's interesting, like, there are some things that are so, like, I see all the time, like, on, TikTok or YouTube, and then I talk to somebody who doesn't really watch things on that platform that much, and they've never heard of it, and I'm like, oh wow. It's crazy how the internet has evolved into its own thing.
Yeah, but I think one day, like in the very distant future, that the internet will just like unify us into one culture, and our
Yeah.
heritage and our cultural background will be like more of a secondary background thing, with the internet being our dominant thing.
Yeah, the internet, like, I've made friends from different countries, and, like, we, like, learn about each other's cultures and, kind of share experiences and learn from each other, and I think that's one of the best things about the internet.
Yeah, but in terms of Halloween, what would you say was your favorite costume you ever wore?
Oh, I've been really into Halloween pretty much my entire life. It's still my favorite holiday. The first time I ever went trick-or-treating, I was a princess in a pink, fluffy... It probably was very 80s looking now that I'm thinking about it, but it was very puffy, and I loved it. And I made my little brother go as the pea, so it was the princess and the pea. He was in like a green sack with like newspaper, and like he was like 4. So that's one that's always memorable to me. I remember I was a pirate. I was very, very big into Pirates of the Caribbean when that came out, so I was a pirate one year. I feel like I've been all the classic things, like a witch. And yeah, I remember one year I was Alex Russo from Wizards of Waverly Place, and no one knew who I was, and I was so sad about it.
Could have just said Selena Gomez. I'm Selena Gomez.
Everybody was just like, oh, you don't have a costume? I'm like, I do, though. I have her boots and her scarf. I loved Wizards of Waverly Place, too.
For me, my favorite costume was, because we could never afford buying costumes from the store, so my mom would make them, or we would just make them ourselves. My favorite costume that I remember was one that she made. My sister she made her a Tinkerbell costume, and for me, she made me a cat and hat costume. And even the hat, the striped hat, she sewed it, and she hates sewing. So
That's so cute.
but she hates sewing. But I love to sew. So it's like, but yeah, it's like, my mom and I butt heads because we have similar personalities. Like we think we know everything, and we're like that. But I mean, just little things like that. I look back, and I'm like, my mom is one of the baddest mothers.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, my mom's sweet. No, my mom is a hustler. She's a bad mamma jamma. Yeah. So she's still like, she's gonna be 60 maybe next year or this year, I forget. But I mean, she's still rocking it like she's 40. So
Sewing a cat in the hat hat, that's pretty badass. Like, that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I'm just thinking of like the layers
and it was like, I don't know where that hat went, but I've always would want to wear it for like Hat Day, Read Across America, Dr. Seuss Week before the controversy. There was a thing called Dr. Seuss Week where, people come in and read to us, but they changed that to Read Across.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would always want to wear it, but I could never find the Cat in the Hat top hat.
I have faith that you can find it one day.
The picture, we probably donated the hat to like Salvation Army or Goodwill.
Oh.
I didn't say, in terms of like any costumes that I made myself, I don't think there's any, I can't remember ever really wearing costumes other than like my karate uniform and things like that. I was very much self-aware, and because of that, I was self-conscious of wearing costumes until I did drag when I was like in my early 20s. Now I'm 26,
Yeah.
like I'm semi-retired. But now it's like, wearing costumes is fun because, you get to show off your personality, but at the same time, everyone else is doing it, so it shouldn't matter what kind of costume you wear.
Yeah, I think I definitely, when I was younger, I always worried that, like, I was wearing something, if I was wearing something, like, too weird or wearing, like, too much makeup or whatever, and, like, now that I've gotten to be, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm 25, I'm just like, I just am gonna wear what I want to wear and be comfortable. And if that's, like, a lot of makeup, no makeup, like, something simple or something, like, really, like, intricate, like, if that makes, I think everybody looks best when they're comfortable, like, when they feel like, comfortable in their own skin, so I'm just like...
I mean, you see on TikTok all the time, like, people dressing up as, like, Dobby and Handsome Squidward and, like, all these other ugly characters. So it's like, I think that quote from Mean Girls kind of resonates still. Halloween is the one night of year where a girl can wear whatever she wants, no other girl can call her a slut. So,
yeah, I think that's very true.
I've kind of noticed that with regards to where I live, and maybe it's starting to become a thing, trick-or-treating is kind of slowly fading away, I feel, because where I live, people will trick-or-treat for like maybe 2 hours, and that's it. And then they go to like parking, like a carnival that's being held in a parking lot of a plaza or like at a church or something. So I feel like because of all the cautionary tragedy, people get kidnapped or hurt or whatever, people are a lot more cautious, just trick or treating, and so they'd rather go to a Halloween carnival at school or at a parking lot of a plaza or at a church than spend like 3 or 4 hours walking with their kids trick or treating.
In our neighborhood, trick or treating is like weirdly a big thing, which I love.
Mhm.
I used to always think as a kid it must be so boring to stay home and hand out candy, and now I'm just like I am again the old cat lady handing out candy, being like, this is the greatest night of the year.
Again, even from my experience being at a school, they don't even let the kids wear the costumes anymore at school.
No,
They don't.
that's so sad. I mean, I was homeschooled all the way through, so I never had like school to like wear costumes, but that's sad. That's depressing.
One more Halloween thing, I promise. This is the last thing.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Because for some reason, I'm shy, but I just love to talk.
I
That's
know
the
that
funny
feeling.
thing. Have you ever heard of the Jumpstart PC game?
That sounds very familiar, but I can't, like, I don't have, like, a distinctive, I just kind of remember the name.
Okay, so maybe I'm just in the small niche of people, but Jumpstart was this whole line of educational PC games from, like, kindergarten, or TK to, like, 6th grade.
Was there a bunny that taught you things?
So that was Reader Rabbit. Reader Rabbit was a different, but I know,
Okay.
very similar. Their most famous mascot was, like, Botley the robot from, like, Jumpstart 3rd grade. But anyway, there was, so it went from, like, toddler to 6th grade, just educational games, which educational games is like its own little subculture in the 90s. It was a big old thing in the 90s.
Okay. I think I bet if I went into the attic, I'm sure I had at least one of these, so.
It was the 4th grade edition, Jumpstart 4th grade, had 2 renditions. The first rendition took place on this very haunted island, very creepy, first person. That was, like, my nightmare fuel. And it was, like, it was super scary, but, I guess it's been etched in my brain forever. But, it's very difficult to track down a physical copy, but, like, the software is, like, abandonware, so anyone can download it. And then they had a second rendition called Sapphire Fall, which is more like Clue Finders and things like that. So the tone and the theme were changed. But the interesting thing was that it had nothing to do with it being too scary. There were never any articles published that said, oh, this version of Jumpstart was too scary. In fact, people were praising the fact that it was spooky and scary. But I'd have to, like, send you a video or something, because that is, like, it's very, the art style and, like, the atmosphere is very, the music, everything. It was, like, and that's, like, that had nothing to do with Halloween, but the whole tone of the whole game just, like, always reminds me of Halloween, and yeah, so I implore you to, give it a glance.
I will look into that. I've always, ever since I was little, I've always loved, like, spooky, like, Halloween vibe stuff. Halloween is such a fun time because there's so many, like, TV and movies and things that I'm like, oh, that's a Halloween classic that's not anything about Halloween, it's just got that vibe, you know? You just have to have the vibe.
I know it's Halloween when Halloween Town's on. I know it's Halloween when the Scary Godmother sequels are on. Like, that's when you know it's Halloween time, when you got Halloween Town on the lineup every night, and then you got the Scary Godmother on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, and on one hand, it's like, I wish they, like, still aired them as much as they used to, but on the other hand, they're free and accessible on YouTube, so everybody can have access to them, so.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just not as hardcore. Like, people aren't really into, like, oh, we're gonna make a Halloween movie and all that stuff. It's, like, kind of sad that we're not as, like, hard, intense into it. We're just, Halloween is, like, the baby of the family. Or actually, no, not the baby, the firstborn of the family. And Christmas is the baby of the family. And Thanksgiving's the middle child.
Yep, that's a good way to put that. I have not seen this particular episode in a little while, so this is gonna be like, it's gonna all come flooding back to me as I'm watching it. I just know it.
Okay, I'll tell you how it goes. Hi, I'm Vivian, and this is my friend Tony. There are sometimes, though, where it'll be, hi, I'm Tony, and this is my friend Vivian. And that always catches me off guard.
Hi, I'm Vivian, and this is my friend Tony.
It is Vivian and Tony, you were right.
We'll put on costumes and go trick-or-treating in the clubhouse.
See, this is what I'm talking about. They put on costumes and go trick-or-treating within the vicinity. They don't go out of the neighborhood.
Because, like, how did they said we'll go trick-or-treating in the clubhouse. How did they, I'm sure we'll see, but I'm just like, in the clubhouse? Like, trick-or-treating to each other?
Here's this ongoing hypothesis, observation that I've had for a while. Tony and Vivian, this is my longest-running, reoccurring thing on my podcast. Tony and Vivian are old sorcerers, and they drain the life essence of the young children because the particular children that they have in the clubhouse are able to create things out of their imagination. And this happens during the summertime, and by the end of the summer, they take all the life essence by sacrificing these children and taking their life essence to stay young forever. There's 2 kids that are in all 3 seasons. 2 children are sent out to go recruit new children who
So fascinating. I
happen
love
to
this.
have that ability to manifest things.
The cult of out of the box.
Because that's why it's so big and air conditioned and furnished on the inside. That they use their collective imagination magical powers to make it this whole thing that's tangible.
It's so big on the inside.
That's why, they get a new crop of kids every year, practically.
I love it so much. I'm gonna watch Out of the Box in a whole new lens from now on for the rest of my life.
We'll even make our own Halloween decorations.
I love Viv's shoes.
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
That's off topic, but I love her shoes.
Love this intro.
I love it so much. It's something that like pops into my head at the most random times. Like I'll just be like getting ready in the morning and I'll just be humming the Out of the Box theme song. I'll be like, where did that come from?
Take one box.
Put it with another.
Let's look for one that's long and wide.
And the clap.
They filmed this in a weekend.
Oh wow.
They filmed this in a neighborhood or a house in New Jersey, I think. But what's interesting is that this was filmed before the end of season 1 finished filming. They filmed it mid-season.
Oh my gosh.
And one of the kids that's in the intro was replaced after filming them. It's the boy in the overalls. His name is Brandon. He's my favorite
Oh my gosh.
child on cast right there. He told me, because I had him on the podcast, he told me him and his mom came home from filming one night to a voicemail that said, oh, he doesn't need to come in tomorrow, meaning that he was let go.
Oh.
And the reason why I caught on to this is because there's another kid that they brought in after.
Oh gosh. Everybody who's ever worked in film is just having like flashbacks. You just become unnecessary.
And the reason why I caught on to this is because there's another kid that they brought in after him that filmed like the promos and like the rest of the intro. So when they go in right now,
It's a different kid. A different kid goes in. Oh my god.
because in season 1, I'll show you.
No.
Well, the kid, his name is Brandon Zemmel. He's actually really well respected music producer. Done stuff for like National War, WWE.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
He's done stuff for like all sorts of things, and he's also a DJ.
I love hearing that.
I mean, he's definitely living his high life.
I love that. Here's just the pilot. Because now I have to see the poor kid that turns into another kid.
No need to take you down this rabbit hole.
I never noticed this before.
He grew from being like the kid that I just didn't like seeing that often on an episode to being like, oh, I love this kid, because it's like he was such a kid. It didn't feel like he was trying to play a role.
I don't think I was such a shy kid. I have so much I'm in awe of like child actors that can be supernatural on camera, because it couldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been me.
And there's plenty, like, a lot of the kids went on to do, like, some really interesting things. Like, another girl from season 1, she went on to go to, I think it was Harvard, and she was, like, a nationally ranked squash player.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
We'll even pretend to climb a magic beanstalk.
Come on, let's get growing.
The first of many puns.
So many puns.
So those are the 2 kids that are in all 3 seasons.
Okay. I remember them.
Out of the box.
Brandon
Oh,
was 5 when he filmed it. All the other kids were, like, 7 or 8.
he was a baby.
And then Alicia right there,
I was gonna say, she went on to be in a bunch of other stuff.
she was in School of Rock. She was in Are We There Yet?
Yeah, I remember her in Are We There Yet? And finding out that she was on this, I was like, yes!
You come too.
We'll build a house together.
It's a nice house, though. It looks really...
Oh yeah, it's literally made out of cardboard, and it's like,
Yeah, you just need a weather strip it or something.
yeah,
Okay, see that kid right there?
yeah.
Right there!
It's a different kid!
He's still an actor. His screen name is Matthew Leone. He has his own barbershop.
Okay.
Matt right there, he ended up doing the rest of season 1, which is filmed on Disney Plus out of order. But also, he's the one that he got to do the promo stuff, like the stuff that's like only on Disney and all that stuff.
The stuff that I always wanted to do as a kid. I always wanted to draw the Mickey Mouse ears and say, you're watching Disney Channel. Always.
This was before that.
Yeah.
Right there, see? That's Brandon. You still see clips of him, but he's not in it with the rest of the kids.
Oh no.
Not out there enjoying the clubhouse.
Well, I wonder if it was because you know, kids in TV, like every year they get older is like, or every year they're younger, there's like less time that they can use. I wonder if it was just because he was so much younger than the other kids. Like, I'm so curious.
From my interview with him, he mentioned that at that age, it was just like, I think the perception that he got from the producers and the film crew, they liked him, but it was just a matter of he was just too young.
Yeah, because that's a lot.
Like, they were never in the same episode, or they never filmed together, or they never took pictures together. So, like,
That's so fascinating.
the only time they ever met was the rap party, which Brandon was invited to. So,
I'm glad that he got invited. That'd be sad if he wasn't even invited to the rap party.
the rap party of season 1, he told me that he got invited to that at least.
Oh, bless. Alicia was on all the seasons, right? Or was she just on the first 2?
Alicia and the Asian boy Nick, they were both on all 3 seasons.
Okay, that's what I thought, but it's been so long. I was like, am I just misremembering? Because Alicia was my favorite one.
If you think about it, her and Nick are the, what's the word, like similar but the opposite, the opposite equivalent of Tony and Vivian.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to get Alicia and Nick on, still haven't heard back from them either.
Oh, one day.
One day, but I mean, I guess because people just don't expect to be interviewed about a show that they did that they didn't expect people to watch.
Yeah.
I've had luck with interviewing like Brandon, like I said, and Dane, who's another kid from season 1, season 2. He's actually in the Halloween episode. Oh, I lied. He's not in that episode. He's in the Christmas episode.
Okay, cool.
Pictures come alive.
The thought of a picture coming to life, it's like that's the plot of a horror movie.
Yeah, I literally saw an episode of Supernatural like that one time.
I saw an episode of The Haunting Hour with who was it, Madison Bailey?
Yes, I actually just had somebody send that into my recommendations, and I was just like, I forgot this. It was a thing.
So the plot, the idea of a picture coming to life is definitely a recurring thing in horror. So
It's something that sounds really fun until you really start to think about it, and you're like, that could also be terrifying. It could go either way.
in Courage the Cowardly Dog, when they were like in a museum after hours, it's like the Mona Lisa came to life.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I'm just waiting for a blockbuster movie to take that idea and run with it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Night at the Museum 2, where they run into the painting and then they turn it around so that they're stuck in it.
Who would be good for that type of movie? Like, what would be a good production? Maybe A24 would make.
I love what A24 does. They just make really creative things.
So come along, boys and ghouls.
I think Tony is part of why I have a deep love of puns. I'm realizing how much of it is probably picked up from Tony.
We'll even make our own Halloween decorations.
Do you know he was in the Broadway production, or was it the Broadway production of Stomp?
I knew that he was on Broadway. I don't know that I knew what it was, but that's really cool. I've never seen Stomp, but that's really cool.
He was actually on an episode of Mr. Rogers too, where he covered a segment of Stomp.
Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch, she was also on an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, teaching the kids that it's not, they don't actually have to be scared of her. It's very cute.
Place the kid on the slide.
Oh, it's such a simple theme, but it's so good.
Do you know what today is? It's one of the most exciting days of the year.
I would think that Tony would have like an orange shirt on for Halloween, but he has the complementary color of blue on.
He could have started with orange, and then there could have been too much orange, and they were like, put him in blue, it'll balance it out.
I'll give you a hint. It's Halloween!
I like the acoustic guitar. It just gives like a very homely, very like cozy, country type of Bear in the Big Blue House type of.
Trick or treat.
Yeah.
And of course, pumpkins.
I was at the grocery store the other day, and pumpkins are officially out, and I was so happy about it. I was so happy. I was like, it's happening!
Sorry that people, after they carve it, like just don't take off the bad part and cook it.
My mom has totally done that. We've made like pumpkin stuff, and she always saves the seeds, because toasting the seeds is like her favorite thing. If you carve a pumpkin and don't savor the seeds, she's gonna be like, you threw out perfectly good seeds.
It's still a squash. My mom, but she would put the pumpkin in the cube, and then she put brown sugar on it, because it's more of a starchy, like butternut squash. The same thing.
That's so good. Have you ever had like a pumpkin risotto? It's like with chunks of pumpkin in it. It's really good.
That reminds me of Hell's Kitchen, where the guy was complaining he didn't have enough pumpkin in his pumpkin risotto. So he goes, like, sure. Would you like it diced or would you like me to ram it up your ass?
Right, well, I'll get you more pumpkin. I'll ram it right up your fucking ass. Would you like it whole or diced?
What a show that was.
I mean, it's still a thing, ain't it?
It is still a show.
You know, I pick one out every year and turn it into a jack-o'-lantern.
When I worked at the school, pumpkin was, the harder it was to help the kids with, because they are so dense that you cannot just use a little plastic stabby knife that they give you the cheap kits for.
You gotta get out like the horror movie knife and be like, okay, stand back.
We weren't allowed to have them. They could only be like 2 inches long. So I always carry a survival knife with me. One of those Bear Grill kit survival knives. And luckily it's 2 inches, so I had to use that.
Oh my gosh.
My hand would start cramping up because it would be like this. But it's like, some of the kids can't afford the bigger ones because they cost by the pound sometimes.
Pumpkins are just such a, like, you never know what kind of experience you're gonna have.
But also sometimes too, the bigger pumpkins are even thicker.
It's chaos, yeah. It's chaotic, and we love them, but they are chaos.
I remember there was a pumpkin decorating contest at my school, and one person decided to paint it and then put glitter to make it look like a Black Widow.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was like, why don't we just do that with the kids?
My cousins, who I grew up really close to, their school didn't do carving. They only did like painting and glitter because no sharp things that way. So, which makes sense.
Trick or treat!
Look at you! All dressed up for Halloween!
I like the cowboy costume.
A witch, a cowboy, and a Hershey kiss.
I like the shape that they managed to get for the ghost costume. It's very like layered.
Yeah.
It's a ghost!
My ghost costumes were never that fancy as a kid.
We have a ghost, a witch, and a cowboy. Out of the three, the cowboy is obsolete.
The only time I've ever seen is I've seen kids dressed up as Woody from Toy Story, which I guess counts, but like not just a regular cowboy or like Jesse, but like yeah.
The funny thing was that dressing up as a cowboy wasn't even a thing because I'm Mexican, so it's like that's just dressing up fancy. It's supposed to be a ghost, but with the silver tool, he looks like a Hershey kiss.
He does.
Hey, let's make costumes for you too. What should I be? Let's see. How about a bat?
This is the type of creativity I was talking about earlier.
Pointy ears. Wow, that's great.
Animals are always easy.
Yep.
A lion. The biggest cat of them all.
Alright.
He's a lion. That's cute.
They could be 3-hole punch Jim.
Like, lions are, the depiction of them are really cute, but then like when you think about it, lions are cute.
Horrifying.
You've seen that video where like people get up close in their car and then one of them opens it with their mouth?
Nature is fascinating, but from afar.
Tony, can you come with us? We need a grown-up.
Okay.
Sometimes I still feel like that, Alicia. I'm like, I need a grown-up.
Trick or treat! Oh, hello! I have some special treats for you.
Sponges. What I like about the costumes too is that it shows masculine, feminine, and gender neutral.
It's true, yeah.
Where it's like the witch is evidently feminine, the cowboy is masculine, but then you have the ghost in the middle, and anyone can be a ghost without people giving it like a weird look to them.
I didn't think about that, but that is so true. That's great, I love that.
Happy Halloween!
The clothespin ears are so cute, though.
Hey, let's sing a song about how much fun it is.
Yeah, sure.
You join in too.
Interesting thing about the music time,
Yeah?
they lip sync it. They record it in the studio and then they play it, but then they lip sync it.
Oh, that's interesting.
It happens each and every Halloween.
I distinctly remember having like a cassette with like at least one of these songs on it.
They used to have like the greatest hits type of cassettes and albums.
I like that we can see like the fragile on the boxes. I think it's so cute.
Just to remind the kids, it's a box.
It's a box.
We all dress up any way we like. We're all gonna have a real good time.
As corny as these songs are, I do like that they do have like informative things in them.
Make sure your mask has big eye holes.
Cause otherwise it gets too hard to see.
It's like teaching kids safety without scaring them, you know?
Don't run too fast or you might fall. Ring the front doorbell or don't ring it all.
Like not to go out by yourself, and that people dress up for Halloween.
Yeah.
Grab your bags, everyone.
The music is giving me very Christian VHS vibes.
I'm having flashbacks to like my old Veggie Tale CD that I had as a kid.
Cause everybody loves to trick or treat.
There you go, Alicia, get it?
Oh, Alicia was always a star.
Well, what do you say we make our own jack-o'-lanterns and ghosts and spider webs too?
I'm very interested to see where this is going. Yeah, they're not going to use pumpkins.
So let's make some ghosts, Mr. Ghost.
Let's see, how are they going to make ghosts? Do they get tissue?
I did always appreciate that they had like, the crafts were always things that like were pretty easily findable around the house.
There you have a little ghost.
That's nice, Vivian. Now can the kids do it?
Yeah.
What do you think, Alicia?
Cool.
They paint it, as opposed to having the adults have to do all the hard work and the kids just do the fun thing.
Showing sharp objects on Playhouse Disney.
We do have scissors though next to Vivian, but she's the one that cuts it out. It's never the kids on any episode. They never cut it out.
That is true.
One thing I really do appreciate that they've always stuck with is that Vivian or Tony, they would ask them, can you cut it out for me?
Then you draw shapes of a spider web.
In theory, I know how to draw a spider web. I don't think I've ever successfully drawn a spider web.
I'm going to use orange for mine.
Looks like glue. I'm pretty sure it is glue unless it's paint.
It looks like glitter glue, yeah.
Put it in the middle, and you just kind of stamp down and rub back and forth.
That is clever.
Then when it dries, I'll cut it out so it's the shape of a circle.
I like that. Oh, the hat.
Oh, that looks great!
Last Halloween, I realized that I had forgotten to carve the jack-o'-lantern, and it was like an hour before trick-or-treaters showed up, so I like did the fastest jack-o'-lantern carve of my entire life. I was just like, get the, here are the seeds, get the thing, and I was just like, got it out there like just in time, and I was very proud of myself for that.
Halloween is my favorite holiday.
Same.
Come on, sing with us.
I don't remember the words, Vivian, I'm sorry.
I like that they break the fourth wall in a way that isn't like trying to be funny or trying to like catch you off guard.
Yeah.
It's very inclusive. It's very warm. Like
Oh yeah, and it's like, it also just like the way that they break the fourth wall, and it's not like super like overdone, like they're not like talking down to the kids. It also reminds me of Blue's Clues with Steve. Steve was also great at breaking the fourth wall in a way that just felt like he really did not like talk down to kids at all. I always loved that.
But I also like that, like you said in the cast, that they make it accessible to kids regardless of their economic stance.
Yep.
We've made some decorations and we've made some preparations.
Jumping into pictures and breaking the fourth wall was popular back then in the 90s more often than people realize. Like even in this one Nickelodeon show, Gullah Island.
Oh, I love that show. I love that show so much.
For our favorite day of the year.
Those are so cute.
I'm sure you can do that with like making snowflakes.
Yeah.
I also appreciate about the show was just all the different types of musical genres that were covered on the show. They'd go from like ska, reggae, rock.
Yeah.
Can we light the jack-o'-lantern?
Not quite yet.
I mean, those are not carved jack-o'-lanterns. You're not lighting those.
But it's really frustrating, cause we're hating all this waiting.
It's interesting that they have a song about waiting.
Yeah, it's true.
Like when I was younger, when it was 4th of July, I'd be like, "Oh, can we light the fireworks already? Can we do the fireworks already?"
Yeah, right.
Now that I'm older, I'm like, I'm not spending money on fireworks.
Yeah, that is interesting. It goes back to that like teaching kids not just like academically, but just to like with their emotions and like all of that stuff.
This show focused more on like artistic and social aspects.
Yeah.
I think Playhouse Disney kind of veered towards more of that. They veered towards more social aspects.
I'm an emotional person to this day, but I was a very emotional child, so I always appreciated that.
Well, what if it were Halloween and you didn't have a pumpkin?
Then you have to go find one. Where would you go?
I'm sorry, I had to laugh for a second because the kid just oversold it. Like, where would you go?
Yeah.
Where would you go?
His eyebrows.
Shakespearean kid. Kid actors, I love kid actors because they just do the thing and they're not self-conscious like adults. Like adults have all learned to be.
Started making plans for the big day.
Okay, so who wants to put up the Halloween decorations?
I do! But you're not tall enough.
Look, some of us aren't very tall, okay? It happens.
This episode kind of is going a little fast. I'll wait. I'll reserve my opinion still after.
With these cowboy boots, I can reach the sky!
He has a cowboy costume on. I'm sure his parents made it for him because there's no way you're finding a cowboy costume with chaps, with the star bedazzled on the side of them, with the ribbon. Like
The cowboy costume is super good.
you're not finding that at a costume store. You can find the witch costume at a costume store, and you can find the ghost costume at a costume store. But I mean, the cowboy costume a little too good.
Now everyone likes to get a little scared at Halloween, right?
Yeah, but pretend scared.
Pretend scared.
Pretend scared. That's so cute.
We can't have a Halloween party without a pumpkin partner.
Partner.
Okay, I'll go get one.
Ha! Not so fast there, little witch.
Broken broomsticks.
Why did I expect it to break over her knee? She's like so tiny.
That's too violent. That's too violent. We can't have that type of graphic violence on television, after all.
I can't do anything for this party.
I like that that she's expressing the inner monologue.
Yeah, I like it too.
Like, oh darn.
But he couldn't get that pumpkin off the vine.
Because lions don't have thumbs.
Where is he? I don't know.
It's such a kid thing.
I know. I'm so uncoordinated.
Okay, they just could have gotten the cowboy's lasso and just tied it around the pumpkin and then
But
pulled
they
the rope.
still couldn't get.
Look, when I played Nancy Drew's Secret of Shadow Ranch, she used a lasso through jail bars, so they could have used the lasso.
There's some undertones of, I guess, gender roles.
Yeah.
You see all the boys together, and then they're like, "Oh no, you're too short. You're like the girl can't seem to be good enough."
Yeah.
Why don't you just help pull? Okay.
The ghost is like transparent. Why would the ghost offer to help?
I feel like you always want the witch on your side, because she's probably the most powerful in universe.
Yeah, I mean, what rhymes with witch? It starts with B.
Yeah.
You never want to get a witch mad.
1, 2, pull!
I'm envisioning the tail being pulled off.
And it's made from a scarf.
I know.
What in the world of witches is going on?
I love the accents on the witch hat, like the little stars. It's so cute.
Imagine the Halloween Town crossover with Out of the Box.
Yeah.
Just seeing Alicia play role.
I know I can do it.
Well, we've tried everything else.
So I guess you could see it as a reversal or a counter to gender roles, because they couldn't accomplish it until they included everybody.
And had the best Halloween party of all time.
No snacks at the party.
I like that the pumpkin is sitting on a little bucket.
Hey, where's Vivian?
You'll see.
And then Vivian just rappels down like Spider-Man.
Trick or treat, trick or treat.
If I'm correct, I think those are their siblings.
Aww.
Because, like, for the Mother's Day and Father's Day episode in season 3, they got the actual moms and dads as kids.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a ghost. You're welcome. Hey, is everybody ready to go trick-or-treating?
Pretty sure those are their siblings.
That's really cute.
We had a lot of fun playing and singing in our costumes today.
He almost fell.
He did.
Remember to go with a grown-up and visit homes in your neighborhood that have pumpkins or Halloween decorations like we made.
Not true. That could always be a false trap, like a trap.
True.
You can't even feel safe with that.
You gotta stay on your guard, Tony.
That was good advice back then, but now it's like, no, that's not enough.
We legitimately had this on our neighborhood. Because we were like very like rural Georgia. So there's this guy who thought it would be a funny idea to chase all the neighborhood kids up and down the driveway with a chainsaw, like a real chainsaw. He never hurt anybody. He was just like, you could tell that like his thought process was, I mean, I'm keeping it away from the kids enough, it's not gonna cut them. And it's like, okay, but like, what? There's so many ways that this could go wrong right now.
The most we could do is take the chain off.
Yeah, thinking back, he didn't even take the chain off. And I'm just like, you can't. Oh, that wouldn't fly now.
Hey, Tony.
Oh, hey, Viv. Everyone home safe?
She got him home fast.
Tony's a percussionist and a musician. You can make anything into a rhythm.
So long, farewell.
When they duetted each other on TikTok and sang this, I like legitimately cried. I was like, this is the cutest thing ever.
Goodbye for now, until we meet again.
And it's always a different thing every time that Tony plays.
Yeah, and he's such a good percussionist too.
And now it's time to say goodbye.
Oh, you didn't do it!
Oh, I forgot. I was just like caught up and I was just like, oh my god, I forgot to do it.
Take 2.
I haven't done this in forever. I have no rhythm.
It's okay. It's very inclusive.
Until we meet again.
It's so cute. Oh, I like almost got jump scared by the disembodied lion face.
Wait a second. This episode doesn't have the extra segment in there.
What extra segment?
in the VHS release, there was an extra segment on the Halloween thing, and I think the Christmas might have had it too, because at the end of the VHS, Vivian would say like a voiceover, like, "You're watching the out of the box Halloween special on home video.
Oh.
There's more to come, so stick around." So it's like, I was like, wait, why is this episode going by so fast?
Yeah, Disney Plus does that. Like with Beauty and the Beast, one of my favorite songs is "Human Again," which is technically an additional song, but it was always on the version that I had growing up, and it's not on the Disney Plus version. So every time it gets to that part of the movie, I'm like, that scene is missing. Where did it go?
And then I was like, oh, that's right, because she did an extra segment at the end. But no, they took it out of the stream.
Yeah, I wonder why they do that.
It's an extra 10-minute segment.
I'm
on
glad you
Halloween
could join
decorating.
us.
Do you know what my favorite part of Halloween is? Trick-or-treating.
Was
So
this?
every
Do you think this
year,
was recorded
I like
outside
to
or
make a
inside?
Probably inside, because like the sound is like very controlled.
Hey, Viv. Hey, everyone.
Well, that's outside. Well, maybe not. I'm not sure.
Hey, Tony, what'd you bring?
Well, let's see.
Follow
In
along
my
with us.
headcanon,
And
they're
don't be afraid to
dating.
rewind.
I know.
Even though
Ask a
Vivian has
grown-up
been
who needs help
married
with stuff
since
like
like
cutting things out.
season 3.
That doesn't matter. They're together.
The ears come around.
It's kind of a callback to when they made butterflies.
Tony and Viv always made crafting look very easy.
They always cut away to somebody watching them, and I was like, why do they do that?
Yeah, they just keep jumping the line back and forth.
I just traced her shape on poster board and paper, cut them out, and now I'm going to glue her clothes on.
That's cute.
Like a paper doll, yeah. Do you ever think about how many times they messed up the craft before they got one?
In one of the season 1 episodes, like when they're making instruments, one of the instruments falls apart, like literally on camera.
They're just like, roll with it, go with it.
One pipe cleaner broomstick coming up.
Pipe cleaners are like kind of dangerous.
Because there's like the sharp little wire that pops out.
Yeah, like I had a kid get poked in the like near the eye with one of those.
Oh no! That's terrible.
Great spot.
Oh, it's a little spider.
How about... This looks like a good eye, don't you think?
I just imagine some kid getting the button. You just hear in the back, where'd those buttons go?
Oh,
Great spider,
Yeah.
Tony. Do you think he'll like this web?
That's great, but let me one up you by doing this.
They're like in a competition. Like, my crafts are better than your crafts.
Tony, like, oh, okay.
And then just wrap it all
Uh-huh.
around.
You think yours are better than mine, Viv? Well, that's smart. I like that.
baby ghosts. And like
Baby
this.
ghost.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, very morbid, but it's gonna look adorable.
Of course, how can you have Halloween without a pumpkin?
That's right.
A lot of people don't even make them out of pumpkins.
So if you make a jack-o'-lantern out of an apple, it's called an applejack.
I like Applejack. I think that's cute.
Like that.
Just gotta drive the point
Where's your
home that it's
broomstick?
homemade.
I guess it's good because, like, if you're a kid watching it, like, it's not gonna come out perfect, and then you're gonna know that it's still good. Like,
Happy Halloween!
yeah, I love that Disney Plus just robbed us of 10 minutes of Out of the Box.
Nothing drives the point home of something being for kids, such as comic things.
I know, right? This was before it was a meme. We were using it earnestly. Oh, good times.
Yeah, so yeah, that was the extra 10 minutes that they stole.
But, like, there's nothing complicated. It's just like construction paper, poster board, stickers, and glue, and a cookie cutter.
Yeah, this was fun.
I've had so much fun. I'm just like sitting here being like, I hope you've had as much fun as I've had. I've had so much fun.
Yeah, no problem. I'd love for us to, because actually on my podcast, I'm actually on season 2. So, I mean, we can, do a second take of that.
I cannot wait to be on the podcast and talk with you again and make more stuff. So yeah, thank you so much. This has been so much fun.